Hi, my name is Morel Furman, and I can say that I was born in Romania, and by knowing Russian was easy for me to volunteer and Boeing working at Boeing at the time to volunteer to open a Bulgarian airline, to introduce Boeing airplane to a Balkan airline at the time.
Okay, Mr. Furman, hi. I'm really glad that we're here almost in the cockpit of one of the newest Boeing 737s that actually the national Bulgarian airline back in those days, Balkan Airlines, they used to have 4 of those aircraft. The Boeing 737-500 was the first Western-built aircraft that was joining a Bulgarian Airlines fleet.
Yeah, they
And
had
you were part of that
737. They had
process.
737-300 first.
That was a little bit later. The first
This was
aircraft,
first.
yeah, the first aircraft that we have, and I remember that pretty clearly. It had a registration Bravo Oscar Alpha, was a 737-500,
500.
which arrived in 1989. But what are your memories from those days? You said that you came to Bulgaria in 1991.
I came to Bulgaria in 91. I was assigned in Australia at the time. And I came in 1991. I remember it was July 1991. And with my late wife, we were here till exactly 3 years to July 94. So for 3 years, I supported the fleet of Balkan Bulgarian Airline on 737 and 767, 200 at the time.
Yeah. What are your memories from that time? Have you been here in the past, but after your stint here in Bulgaria, or this is your first time in 30 years that you're coming back?
So since 94, I returned to Bulgaria to support the Bulgarian Air, being stationed as Boeing representative in Bucharest, Romania.
Yeah.
So I covered Romania, Bulgaria, and Serbia. So used to come every month for a few days to support the Bulgaria Air and also the Lufthansa Technique.
Yeah.
And since then, we have many friends, and the same friends with the pilots of Bulgaria at the time. And so for 5 years, 2006, 2011, I was here few days a month for 5 years.
Do you still remember one of their names of your Bulgarian friends and colleagues and pilots?
Yes, I have my very good friends. It was Vladimir Stanchev. He was the chief pilot, Vlado.
Yeah.
And the co-pilot was Orlin Delchev, exactly. And this on 737, and then they moved to 767 and connected with Captain Anton Stoyanov. He was in charge of 767. And I flew a lot, and I remember flying with the 767 to New York, first flight.
From Sofia?
From Sofia. It was the first flight, the ETOPS flight of 767 to New York. And not only that I flew with my wife, but I flew in the cockpit with my pilot's friends. I was instructor on the 767 before. I'm on the technical part of the avionics. And not only commemoration of first 767 ETOPS flight, but also was my oldest son. He finished master cum laude in New York at Columbia University, so it was a double.
So these are pretty good memories.
Memories.
Back from those days when Balkan used to have over 10 Western-built aircraft, both Boeings and Airbuses actually.
Correct.
Because we got 4 737s, but on top of that, 4 Airbus A320s, and this
And
was the
also,
first
and
Eastern
also
European
Antonov.
airline with a Airbus.
And also Tupolev.
Yeah, the Tupolev
Yes,
and Antonovs, of course.
exactly.
Yeah, they were still flying.
Exactly.
But Balkan was the first airline in Eastern Europe that had also Airbuses on
Yeah.
top of their Boeings, which were not that long in the fleet, because they only took 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years, and then they were returned to the lesser.
Yeah, I was very sorry to hear about the ending period of Balkan Bulgarian Airline.
Yeah.
But this is a different period. Yeah, I still have friends since then, and I would say that I used to visit the friends in Bulgaria for at least once in 2 years.
Now the situation is much different. When you landed here at Sofia Airport, what made an impression? Lack of Boeings, perhaps? Because now almost none of the Bulgarian, at least passenger airlines, have any Boeings left.
Mainly Airbus now.
Yeah, almost the whole apron was with Airbus.
Yes.
Apart from probably Ryanair's and other airlines, NGs. Still, there is one Bulgarian airline that still operates Boeing 737-300s, and it's Bulair. And I think there still is one here parked in Sofia, but it's all white.
Yes.
So what is your impression generally of the picture now, especially in Eastern Europe? You know Romania perhaps pretty well, with Tarom that still flies the 737, the Boeing.
Yeah, I supported Tarom in
Yeah.
Romania for 5 years, and I was based in Bucharest, where I was born.
So why has Boeing lost its ground in Eastern Europe? What do you think happened? Only LOT and Tarom are the airlines that are left with Boeing at present.
No, maybe of the latest happening in Bulgaria, in Boeing way of life. So it looks like airlines are holding to see the latest development at Boeing to make sure that the new 737 MAX is the one they are following.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that Boeing would recover, and new MAX 737 would be all around East Europe,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Well, I feel pretty emotionally about the Boeing 737 as a type-rated pilot on this aircraft, but still, I have this hunch that Boeing actually made a mistake of only extending the service life of an aircraft that is brilliant, but very old now. It's over almost 50 years, or even more than 50 years old. So why didn't they start the development of a brand new aircraft as they did with the 787, for example, the Dreamliner, which for me is a brilliant aircraft and it's the future of passenger aviation?
My personal impression is that it's a way of save money by not building a new airplane, but developing the last model, which was very successful, and just keeping redeveloping and updating, so you gain time, and
Yeah.
it's a gain of looks like money.
Yeah, the main competitor is doing the same, actually. Only rebuilding and updating their
A successful
flagman, the
type.
320. Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like. But now I believe Boeing is looking into developing a new airplane, but we'll see.
Which is your personal favorite of the Boeing passenger aircraft lineup as a model?
Yeah, maybe it's because of my experience. I used to be an instructor on the 767 and to be an instructor on the 747-400. So for me, these two type of airplanes are
Of building aircraft for pilots.
Yeah, 777, 787, very successful, very amazing development in aviation.
So you're not much a believer of the composite structured aircraft as the Dreamliner, for example, or do you think this
No,
is still
nothing
the
to
future?
do with the composite.
Yeah.
Composite was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in general, the most successful development in aviation was 777 and 787.
Yeah.
The only point I made is that I did not teach them. The other two types of airplanes that I did not teach.
Now there is kind of a feeling that for the past several decades there was still a duopoly of only two major manufacturers and players in the aviation industry. That's Airbus and Boeing. Here we don't count, of course, Bombardier, Embraer with regional jets. But do you think this situation is going to be disrupted by an unusual player, that is the Chinese? Because now we are seeing that they started to build their own aircraft, although probably it's a copy-paste from both Boeing and Airbus. But in economic terms, China is still a powerhouse. And do you feel that in the next, the next century, there's going to be a disruption in this duopoly and the Chinese will start producing passenger aircraft on a larger scale?
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure they can do it. They have the ability, they have the knowledge. Anyway, they are building Boeing airplanes in China. They are building Airbus airplane in China, so they have a lot of experience in building airplane. And I believe that this is a common China and Russia together type of airplane. And in I don't know how much we talk about a real future, but I envision that this would be part of a new competitor on the market.
It's interesting that you also put Russia into the mix. You said China and Russia together. They started developing a wide-body aircraft about 10 years ago, but now the project is actually dropped and it's now native Chinese project. I think it's still called the C929, or it's going to be a different name, but it seems to me at least that this cooperation between those two powerhouses is now it's not on the forefront but at the back end now.
It's hard to know the background about, but before the name implied that both countries were part of developing the new airplane. And now with the new situation, we don't know what could be, but I'm pretty sure that China has the knowledge and potential to do on its own.
You're actually right. It was first called the CR929, but now the R was dropped, and it's only the C from Comac in
I remember China at the time that I was teaching at the China Institute of Aviation in China in 1986, and I was impressed with their knowledge.
So 96, and you were impressed?
1986.
86, even 86.
Correct.
Yeah, that's almost more than 40 years ago.
Correct.
You were impressed back then, and now 40 years in the future, we believe they're kind of in space already.
That can be.
Yeah. Well, your general impression about the aviation industry at present day, because there are a lot of problems. Many of those problems are rooted in probably the COVID period, 2-3 years that the whole industry was in a lockdown. But now we're struggling, and we're struggling a lot with engines, with spare parts, with the supply chain. What is your impression? What happened actually?
Yeah, it appears that everything happened because of the pandemic time, when people would hesitate of being vaccinated, they lost the job. So if they lost the job, means that the knowledge was lost. If the knowledge was lost, then this looks like what's happening today, that the chain of supply is not in time and the knowledge is not there, so it looks like it would take some time to recover.
But wasn't that a mistake of the companies as well, because they were dismissing people in large numbers and now they're struggling to get them back?
I think these were the government decision about making sure that everybody is immune to the COVID without understanding exactly what's happening, and the airlines industry then followed up. was not their decision, but was like government decision, so everybody followed up. But we feel like a loss of knowledge in many industries.
Because we're facing here a cockpit, let's get back a little to the cockpit side of things, because you said you were instructor on a 767 and the 747. How you feel about this all modern cockpits that we're seeing now, the glass cockpits, no more buttons so everywhere around us?
It looks like it's a development of the 767 was the first commercial airplane that introduced the glass cockpit. Mm-hmm. And since then, even the private industry, private aviation, it's following, and this is the way of life now.
And how you feel all the modern gimmicks that the Europeans have introduced? Here we see still the yoke, and Boeing is keeping it even in its newest 777Xs. But Airbus moved it onto side sticks.
Looks like was a decision. Was a decision of the factory. Boeing kept the stick as tradition, and Airbus started with the yoke like the military airplanes.
Yeah, or vice versa.
The military airplane were first with the stick.
With the stick. And then Airbus got it from the military and from the defense.
Looks like. Now, what's your opinion? How you feel about if you are? Would you prefer the stick or you prefer the?
I'm actually now on both sides. I flew both the yoke aircraft in terms of 737 and now the Airbus A220, which is a side stick aircraft, yes. But it's mostly Boeing. And back in the days, if you remember, there was an option when the Canadian Bombardier was struggling financially. They were about to be bust, to end out. And Airbus came to the rescue and bought the company and renamed the aircraft from CS to Airbus. But do you think Boeing lost its way back then? Because the aircraft is mostly Boeing. It's in North America. Why didn't they bid to buy the company? Wouldn't that be the wisest decision back in the days?
No, I don't know what was the decision of companies. It's hard to understand with this. It's a company's decision for their reason, which we may not know.
Let's just face the camera again. Okay, well, what is your best memory of being here as a representative to Bulgaria and the region, as you said, Serbia and Romania, from over 30 years ago?
I have to mix a bit, because the memories were a bit mixed coming to Bulgaria after the fall of the communism. And the communists were still at power to decide for Bulgaria which airplane to be chosen. And I deal with the communists in Romania, and I deal with the Communist Party here with the KGB in Bulgaria. Many changes still since then, and I'm glad that the government decided to be autonomous again. Special memories to be able to support at that time introduction of Boeing airplanes in the East Bloc. And the same was to support Romania after leaving Romania.
There were many of those. As I remember, almost all of the Eastern European national airlines back in those days, over 30 years ago, had Boeing aircraft. It was the CSA in the Czech Republic, LOT in Poland, Malev in Hungary, Tarom in Romania, Balkan in Bulgaria, and also in former Yugoslavia, back in the days, now Serbia, Yacht, they also had a lot of Boeing aircraft, but they used to have them all along, even in the communist times. Yacht was the only airline from the Eastern Bloc operating Western aircraft, Douglases and Boeings, 727, 737.
It was a different way for the Boeing beside the jumbo, the 747-200 at the time that had the flight engineer. Then every Boeing airplane had 2 pilots, where the Russian one had up to 5 crews.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a new model, new era, new knowledge for the pilots. And for me, it was amazing to see how the pilots operating Tupolev with so many big crew in the cockpit could actually, with no problem, operate a 2-man crew airplane. This was like, wow.
And in those days, there was nothing like the CRM that we know at present, the crew resource management, all those procedures and systems. It's actually a whole new subject to learn from, the CRM. And with no CRM, you had a crew of 5 people.
Yeah, and to see them they can operate a 2-man crew was amazing, and just to show the ability of the Bulgarian pilots was amazing.
So it was a good training for them to
impressed.
Transition into the Western.
Yes, I was impressed about their ability to switch from a crew of 5 to a crew of 2, and with no problem whatsoever.
I'm only thinking about 2 more questions before we finish our conversation. One is related to the crew. Now, talk of the industry is, let's build an aircraft for 1 pilot, so single pilot operation. How you feel about that? Do you think this is feasible?
This is feasible, but I'm still the old era of 2 pilots. Everything is feasible. Maybe it would be one day there would be no pilots.
That's the next step.
This could be the next step.
Yeah.
It's a bit frightening.
It is. There are a lot of actually aircraft that are unmanned. There is no pilot, or they're controlled from the ground remotely.
Yes.
But not passenger aircraft.
This is for military
yeah.
purposes is different, because Boeing is building unmanned aerial refueler, which makes sense.
Yeah, there are a lot of vehicles that are unmanned in the military field.
I would prefer 2 pilots. From my life experience of 50 years in aviation, I prefer 2 pilots.
And especially as a passenger.
Especially as a passenger.
Yeah, to be on the safe side. Or perhaps the future is going to be 1 human pilot and 1 AI agent sitting somewhere in the software.
I would prefer to be AI and supportive of 2 pilots.
yeah, of 2 pilots.
Yeah, but not in lieu of. I like to see the faces of the passengers when the captain wishing special flight to the passengers and saying, I wish you have a safe flight and all the best. The pilots are talking from home. I like to see their expression of face.
And you still feel that it's really important for the crew to address the passengers during the flight, right?
I think that a human to take control. We've seen that the computer taking control of a human life, it's a bit different.
Yeah, it's not on the safe side yet. And final question, it's again related to aviation, but how you feel about the future of propulsion technologies? Because now we're talking a lot about electricity, all the cars are becoming electrical, especially here in Europe. It is a hype, you need to drive electrical cars and so on. I don't feel like that at all, but what is your opinion about aviation and aircraft? What is the future of propulsion? Is it electric, is it hydrogen, or is it going to be something else? Because just yesterday, Airbus actually dropped out of its plans and programs to develop the so-called zero-G aircraft, which is completely carbon neutral and running on hydrogen. But what is your feeling about this?
It looks like the batteries of the new batteries on the airplane are not so safe. So to build an airplane based on the battery which is not safe today, I wonder about the feeling of the passengers.
Still not a mature technology.
Yeah, I think have to see how safe. Safe should be the first item on the agenda.
Yeah. And what about hydrogen?
Yeah, I have no comment. I'm not sure that I know enough to make a comment on.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It was really interesting to hear your opinion. Coming back here to Bulgaria over 30 years later as an official representative of Boeing, and not seeing that much Boeing aircraft at the apron, but who knows? Maybe in the future we're going to buy them again.
I hope so. I wish so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.